Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about the new moon, which is going to happen July 14th. And this new moon occurs in Gemini. And yes, I am talking about the sidereal Vedic zodiac, not the tropical Western placements. And what we talk about with the Vedic placements is their nakshatras. There are 27 nakshatras in Vedic astrology, and their meanings come from the stars. So I love to incorporate their meanings as to what will be happening around the time of this new moon, because the stars are what are really talking to us, telling us about what's happening, particularly concerning any of these times when we have lunations, the new and the full moon. So this particular new moon is going to be in the nakshatra called Purnavasu, one of my favorite nakshatras. It means the return of the light. And it actually follows a very difficult nakshatra, which represents the storms, the storm god, Ardra. So Purnavasu follows, and it kind of represents the bright sunny day after a big storm. So it will be occurring at 27 degrees of Gemini. And Gemini is all about communications. And during this particular new moon, we will have Mercury really close to this new moon, and it is a retrograde Mercury. So I think a lot of things are going to come out with what it's all about, communications. Things are changing, we're opening up, we're understanding new levels of technology awareness, but I think a lot of it may come through a few mishaps. With Mercury retrograde, there will be some mishaps. And especially since we do have Rahu is still in Aquarius, and while it is in Aquarius, this is important to know because this affects air travel. Aquarius is actually an air sign. A lot of people think it's water because they think about the water bearer, but it is an air sign, and this particularly deals with air travel and with Mercury retrograde. And you know what else? It's the travel season. Generally, kids are out of school in the northern hemisphere. People are going on vacation, so things will get hectic and crazy. And the new moon will open the door to a better understanding of why things are so hectic and crazy and what's been going on. So there are some very interesting planetary arrangements happening all at the same time this month. It is unbelievable, I believe, what we're seeing and knowing. And during this new moon, we actually have Venus on that day at 10 degrees of Leo, while we have Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus all at 10 degrees. But with Pluto being 10 degrees Capricorn and Neptune being 10 degrees of Pisces, Venus is forming a perfect yod. A yod is when they're 150 degrees away. One planet forms two 150-degree orbs to the other planets, which are actually called a quincunx. But here's what you need to know if you don't know astrology. It's a very difficult aspect. It's like Venus hits that point in the zodiac where it is foul. Nothing turns out. Things aren't working right. Everything to do with what Venus rules, which are relationships. So this is a time, the new moon, that if your relationships aren't working out, things may be uncovered. Remember a yod, when this formation's formed between three planets. Two planets that are sextile each other, and those two planets form a quincunx to Venus. And it's been said, this is actually an aspect that causes accidents. Yes, it does. Venus can sometimes deal with air travel. And actually, Venus is very close to K2 on this day. It crossed over K2, as a matter of fact, 4 days prior to this. And this can really mess up air travel. And another thing, Uranus at 10 degrees of Taurus is exactly squaring Venus. This is a day of hectic, crazy events. I think it deals with some difficulties with air travel, with Mercury retrograde, and this new moon means something's coming about that can shift the energy, and it may deal with some kind of air travel accidents. And if this is the case, then something comes out of it that will correct things. But overall, there is something that needs to be looked at in terms of, well, you know, a quincunx aspect is known to give accidents. So some type of accident, be aware. And it's particularly, I'm going to say, around the time of this new moon. And it's not necessarily the new moon that's causing it, because it's not. It is that Venus is being squared by Uranus, and it is in a quincunx to both the other two planets, Neptune and Pluto. This is pretty dangerous. But it can also represent things need to be worked out in the area of people's relationships. Yes, it's true. And furthermore, we do have Mercury retrograde during this whole period. And it is a potent retrograde. Why do I say that? Because it's going to be crossing over this new moon, and it's in Gemini, and Gemini rules communications and travel. Another thing I wanted to point out, this new moon that occurs at 27 degrees of Gemini is almost exactly conjunct the fixed star Castor. And I always bring in the stars because the stars are so rich with mythology and meaning, and they flavor any of the lunations when they fall on a star. So you might have heard in Greek mythology, Castor and Pollux. They were the brothers, and Castor was the mortal twin, Pollux was the immortal twin. And it's been said that Castor was a really smart one. Pollux, both of them were very strong fighters and physically had great strength. So Castor is 26 degrees of Gemini, right there where this new moon is. And this represents intelligence, the mind. So people are very astute and aware of things. Things are growing. Consciousness and awareness are growing with this new moon falling on Castor. But Castor was the twin that was mortal, and he was killed. And these two twins were really close. So Pollux cried and begged his father, I think it was Zeus, to bring Castor back. And so he did. So now we have the Castor and Pollux in the sky, and they're pretty much this twin stars. And they deal with brotherly love. So there is something that could come out that unites us in a sense of connection and love. Kind of makes me think of Philadelphia. And I say that because where was the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence signed? But aside from that, there is something that's going to connect us. That's what I see. But like I said before, there's something that brings us apart. And through this separation, we have to be brought back together. And this new moon is hope that we can be brought together with a better understanding in humanity. And Purnavasu, as the return of the light, can indicate that. But further on, there are other things going on in the sky that are going to cause mishaps and problems, possibly with travel. With the Mercury retrograde and the Venus square Uranus and quincunx both Neptune and Pluto. So with that, that's a reading. I want you to remember to go to my website, sign up for my free newsletter, and definitely while you're there, check out my Patreon page, my spiritual community. We talk about all of this every week. We go into greater detail. If you want to personally be aligned with me and my group, join our Patreon. And last but not least, go to galacticplanner.com. Thank you.